Hi, my name is Craig Heidi, and I'm going to lead you through Module 12 case study, The Budget Debacle for EDL 854. This case takes place at an elementary school called Briardale. Briardale is in a district. There's 6 other elementary schools, two middle schools, and a high school. And Briardale is ran by Principal Carl Santos. And so what's happened is Briardale is kind of in the middle of town. They are big supporters of helping the community. They have all their town hall meetings there, and so they have their generous use of facilities there, and it kind of aligns with their budgets. They also have a foundations that have been created because the district doesn't really uh, give much funds to supplementary activities for the elementary schools, and so there's a lot of competition, and there's some confusion over the policies that are in place on how to access that funding and how that funding is divvied up per school. So that's why they've created foundations that run as separate entities from the schools so they can provide fundraising to help give that money to the schools. There is a curriculum committee that reviews the recommendations by the foundation. This year, there is a parent that was chosen, Mr. Barely. He's kind of new to the district, and he has taken on this role as president, and he has this goal that he's going to raise the most money that's ever been raised by any foundation in the district. He also has a conflict of interest, it appears, because another president of a different foundation for another elementary school in the district was his fraternity brother at Harvard, and so they have had this competition between the two, and he wants to outperform this frat brother that he has. Now, Mr. Santos has given him an orientation and reviewed the responsibilities, but there's still this fundraising that's going on. And Mr. Barely, what's happened in this case, he has decided that he's going to go full force with this raffle idea of tickets to win cash. And so he has decided that he can figure out a way to sell those tickets, and people will buy into this, and it's going to be this huge successful fundraiser. He's passed it by the curriculum committee or the committee for the supplementary activities because there's a lead teacher there that oversees that. So everything's been approved. They come to the big night, the event, and someone in the community has tipped off the sheriff that a raffle for cash has happened. And so the sheriff comes to the event. They arrest Mr. Barely, the foundation president, in front of everybody, and he has been given a misdemeanor and placed on probation uh, for his actions in this raffle for cash. Mr. Santos has been completely embarrassed as the principal of Briardale, and all this information came out on the front page of the newspaper. So that's kind of the case that's been presented for Module 12 here. When assessing the legal or ethical issues that are there, first and foremost, Briardale students, when we ask, has anyone been harmed, they definitely have, because the supplementary activities that they have may not be funded. Right now, they're funding music, art, foreign language, and all this money from the fundraising efforts this year was going to be more about innovation. So maybe some technology or other ways that they're going to use that. But these students are going to miss out on those improvements. Mr. Barely has also been harmed. The parent now has a misdemeanor on his record, and that's a that's a huge problem for him. I don't know what he does as an occupation, but that could impact his job outside of school. And Mr. Santos, his personal reputation as a principal in the community and being on top of things has been damaged, and now that has hurt him and his connection to the community and maybe his own self-confidence there. There was some ethical issues with Mr. Barely, as I stated before, that conflict of interest with the other president, and for not taking the role to raise the most money that's ever been done instead of just doing it to raise money and to help improve the school. Those were some ethical issues that were raised. The question, does the action contravene an existing law? Yes, most states, I believe there's 46 states that have laws requiring applications for raffles, and they typically want information about regarding the prizes or the events because some states regulate how many raffles can take place. and they definitely want to know what the prizes are because they can regulate what those prizes are and how much those prizes are. So a law was definitely obstructed in this case. Was there a breach in contract? No, the foundation, just like PTA, PTOs, booster clubs, they are all separate organizations from the school, and so even though the school has encouraged these foundations to be created, they are separate entities, and there's no contract with the school or the principal. So summarize it for one sentence. The foundation for Briardale, led by President Mr. Barely, held a raffle for cash fundraiser, unbeknownst to Mr. Barely or Principal Santos that raffles are illegal, resulting in the sheriff arresting Mr. Barely for a misdemeanor. The fiasco making the front page of the paper and causing little to no funds to be available for Briardale supplementary activities this year. When we assess the people in this case study, first you have to look at Mr. Santos. He kind of feels he's a good principal. He understands budgets. He follows protocols for recommendations by foundation. Um, and then you have Mr. Barely, who is new to this. He graduated from Harvard. He took this to raise money and to outperform his frat buddy. He's been informed of the role and the responsibilities, and he's supposed to work with the committee, the supplementary committee, on any ideas that he has or the foundation has for fundraising, and for what those recommendations are going to be used for the school as well. And then you have the school committee review suggestions by the foundation, which is who Mr. Barely should be working with. Now the place, Briardale Elementary, it's about 600 students. It has K through 5th grades. It's one of 6 elementaries in the district. The one thing about this district is teachers usually who teach there stay there for their entire careers and retire. It's a very good district as far as keeping and retaining teachers and supporting them. Now, there is some confusion on the funding formula for supplementary activities in the district, and all funds are designated currently for basic skill curriculum, and so there are no funds designated for supplementary activities unless it goes through this confusing formula. The community is very diverse. Briardale's right in the middle of town, and the town's community meeting center happens at Briardale Elementary. For programs, we have the supplementary activities. It's not funded by the district. They are doing art, music, foreign languages, and as all those are led up by the committee, the school site committee or the supplementary committee chairperson, which is a lead teacher. And that's all about enhancing students' educational opportunities and aligning schools' goals and priorities with that. And so that's the one who's working with the foundation. There are many stakeholders as well. We have the Briardale students who are going to, of course, miss out on funding, educational opportunities. They haven't really been consulted in this. We have Principal Santos. His reputation is going to be hurt in the community. He really tries to stay out of the foundation's roles, and that's why he has the supplementary committee with a lead teacher. And so he sees things and he passes everything on to them and kind of tries to stay out of it. But he is definitely a stakeholder. Mr. Barely, he's a huge stakeholder because he's the president, and now he's going to have this misdemeanor and probation, which could be potential problems for him. Um, we also some of the with Mr. Barely, he did go to the school site committee. He got approval for the fundraiser, and it just happened to be something that was illegal that they didn't know about. And then we have the curriculum teachers who could potentially lose their jobs this year because the money from the foundation will not be coming in to fund music, to fund the art program, to fund foreign language, and any other innovative activities that they were planning this school year. Some of the things we don't know that I would like more information about is what's the role of the principal with foundation oversight, and exactly how does he develop and evaluate the resource plans for that school year, as well as what's the relationship with the other president, Mr. Morley, that Mr. Barely is competing against. And we do know that they did run for president of their own fraternity, and that Mr. Morley had beaten out Mr. Barely. But we'd like more information about how that relationship is between the two. When looking at the possibilities, there's 3 options. First one is to take no action, just do nothing. Second option, reject any future association with the foundation. And number 3 is bring together all stakeholders for collaboration. Looking at the pros and cons of taking no action, you allow things to die down and the authorities to do their own work in this situation. It creates the expectation that the school's not involved in the foundation works necessarily. However, there's still some community gossip that's going on, um, which might still resolve that the school's part of it. But the cons, community gossip is unaddressed, lack of support by the foundation, of support for the foundation by stepping up and helping them with this, loss of funds for the school and the students, teacher job losses potentially, and there's no policies or protocol that's being put in place for future fundraising efforts. Option two, which is a little more harsher, is rejecting to work with the foundation from here forward. And that's setting a clear line that the foundation is a separate entity from the school, which is true. However, those two entities really work closely together. It dissolves the school from any form of responsibility or illegal action with the raffle that took place. And it creates potential conversations with the districts because of this confusing funding formula about really how do we fund these supplementary activities. Um, because what we have in place right now is not working. The cons, it eliminates funding for supplementary activities, so students are going to suffer, as well as it causes school to have a lack of voice in reforming policies with the foundation. And you know the schools, the Briardale needs this money for future efforts for their students, and the perception of the community shows lack of support for the school. Option three is collaborate with all stakeholders. The pros of this is develops a plan, determines the best future, acknowledges practices and policies need to be refined. It shows the support of the foundation. So it's not just saying, hey, it's a separate entity, they're out there on their own, but saying, hey, we're going to help support them and be with them through this process and through this kind of mishap that's happened. It also advocates for resources and support of needs. So how do they take a bigger voice into, hey, this is what we really need as a school district with the foundation? Some of the cons, though, it takes a lot of time. The tedious task of policy analysis and identifying best practices takes work and time, and um, continued fundraising issues for this year. They're not going to have the money for the things that they had planned. This option is number three, collaborate with all stakeholders. The foundation is crucial for funding supplementary activities for the school and for the students, and it's all about students being successful and learning. School needs to address the issue to the community, and so this does that as well as better policies and practices need to be put in place for fundraising, but not only just for fundraising, for overall foundation practices and that relationship with the school. What are the what are the rules of practice and the protocol so that proper communication and interaction can happen between the two, and recommendations can still be provided to help the school out. Implementing option three, first and foremost, I think you have to consult with the superintendent and the district legal counsel. You have to kind of figure out what laws have been broke, since Mr. Santos doesn't know exactly what's going on with the raffle infraction, and figure out what legal counsel is going to suggest for the school so that they're not liable for the foundation's mistakes. Secondly, I think we need to talk privately with Mr. Barely and ask him to resign and just say, hey, nothing's going to be impact your students or your kids at school, but we need to have someone else take on just because of the reputation and perception that's happened with this, even though he had good intentions. Third, meet with the foundation's board. There has to be more than just the president when we're talking about a foundation. You probably have to have a VP, a treasurer, a secretary. So the principal needs to meet with them. Mr. Santos needs to meet with them, discuss what clear policies needed to happen to make more separation between the school, assist them with the process so it's clear on both ends, and discuss how to address the money situation or if the sheriff still has it or fundraising efforts. Number four, we need to create a plan with the district on supplementary funds. So how do we access supplementary funds so it's not just given by the foundation, and create a clearer policy for funding formulas. Number five, address the staff about the situation. Be transparent so that they know what's going on and how you're addressing it as a principal and as a school district. Number six, disclose a public statement to the community because the community's wondering, there's going to be gossip out there. You need to get ahead of that and have a good statement that shows support of the foundation and the school and kind of clearly states what's happening. Number seven, we got to meet with the foundation board, as I indicated before, to create those new policies and protocols. So we're talking about money transactions, fundraising, bank account access, check signing, and figuring out all the rules in place. Recommend voting at parent meetings with the principal in attendance. And number eight, I would put in a yearly training for foundation board and supplementary committees. Overall implementation is just about clearly communicating and putting things in place for the future years. And here are some of the references that I have. Thank you very much.